ये है केचिकान और ढेर सारा क्रूज यहाँ पहले से ही लगा हुआ है और वेदर इतना अच्छा है। थोड़ा फोरकास्ट कर लिया मैंने। देखते हैं अलास्का, चारों तरफ पहाड़ पर्वत। ये क्रूज कितने बड़े बड़े हैं, देखिए देखिए। हम लोग का क्रूज उसके बाद यहाँ लगेगा शायद, जो स्पेस है। तो चलिए नया सिटी, नया जगह घूमेंगे। अलास्का का ये हम लोग का लास्ट प्लेस है जहाँ क्रूज से निकल के हम लोग ये सिटी को एक्सप्लोर करेंगे। उसके बाद फिर वापस जाएंगे वैंकूवर कनाडा। और ये सीनिक व्यू देखिए। ये छोटे छोटे सिटी इतना ब्यूटीफुल है और लोग भी इतना कम रहते हैं। आज सचमुच टेम्परेचर बाहर इतना ठंड नहीं है। चलिए मैं रेडी हो जाऊंगी, फिर बातें करेंगे और नया सिटी को घूमेंगे। और यहाँ मैं यहाँ लिखा है केचिकान। तो पहुँच गए एक नया सिटी। आज लास्ट डे केचिकान, एक छोटा सा स्मॉल सिटी है। जा रहे हैं सामन और पकड़ के कैसे बेयर सब खाते होंगे जंगल के अंदर। देखते हैं क्या है। तो चलिए अभी मैं डाइनिंग में जा रही हूँ, खाना खाऊंगी और उसके बाद भाग के जाएंगे। आज मैं रेडी हो गई। देवाशीष पीछे नहा रहे हैं। वही दिन 15 मिनट्स के अंदर सिटी में एक बस आएगा और बस से हम लोग जाएंगे। चलिए शेयर करती हूँ A to Z सब कुछ। पहले खाना खा लूँ और डाइनिंग में आप मानोगे नहीं, सब कुछ जापानीज, चाइनीज, इंडियन, अमेरिकन सब फूड अवेलेबल है। ये मेरा लंच और देवदा का लंच, ऑलवेज हेल्दी। नहीं मैं थोड़ा ज़्यादा ओके वॉक कर करके जा रहे हैं, भाग भाग के। वैसे इसमें वॉच लाना भूल गई। केचिकान यही सिटी का नाम है। बहुत ही छोटा सिटी है लेकिन ब्यूटीफुल है। इतना जोर से भागोगे तो मैं गिर ही जाऊंगी। ओह माय गॉड। द रॉक।
Well, if you're tired, you need to sit down for a minute.
ये एक सेंटर पॉइंट है सिटी के अंदर। और ये है वेलकम टू अलास्का फर्स्ट सिटी। पीछे साइन बोर्ड है जहाँ लिखा हुआ है वेलकम टू अलास्का फर्स्ट सिटी केचिकान, द सामन कैपिटल ऑफ द वर्ल्ड। सामन जो फिश हम लोग खा रहे हैं ये है कैपिटल। अब सोचिए मैं थोड़ा घुमा लेती हूँ। मेरा ट्राइपॉड टूट चुका है और हिला है इतना जोर से मैं छोड़ दूंगी तो वो गिर जाएगा। और पीछे हम लोग का क्रूज है अमेरिका साथ, और पीछे पहाड़। और चलिए देवूता क्या कर रहे हैं मैं आपको दिखा रही हूँ। ये है देवूता बैठे हैं। हाँ लिया, बोल दो कहाँ हो।
This is the salmon capital. That means the maximum number of salmon is caught here. All these bear catching salmon and things like that are done here.
Okay.
So we are going on a trip like that. Hopefully we see some.
salmon जरूर देखेंगे। तो 100% इतना पैसा लिया है।
People a little bit north of here for a flying tour.
Okay. Is that the Misty Fjord?
Misty Fjords, but the people that I took, yes, but the people I took are going on a bear watching tour to a place called Neats Bay, which is nearby, about a 10-minute plane ride, I think.
I see.
Yeah, so, and then further north of town, there's these go-kart, kind of like a cart tour, adventure
Okay.
carts. That's what it looks like here.
I see.
Oh, good. Oh, that is the Rahul.
But these
This is
people
what-
driving needs to have a driver's license.
Yes, on the carts they do.
Yeah.
देवशीष देखो ब्लैक बेयर वाइल्ड लाइफ एक्सप्लोरेशन।
That's what I think you guys are doing.
Yes,
We are going to this.
we are going to this
Yep.
Alaska.we. We are going to this ब्लैक बेयर। गुड, वो भी देख लेंगे थोड़ा, अच्छा है। और सिटी का भी थोड़ा दूर से हम लोग का सीप दिखाई दे रहा है। देखिए हॉलैंड अमेरिका लाइन। से जाएंगे, देखेंगे बेयर कैसे सामान खा रहा है।
Gravel and boardwalk. I'm going to ask you guys to stay behind me on trail and kind of not kind of filter around too much. Try not to get ahead of me on trail and do your best to kind of stay with the group. Just because we do have bears in the area, as well as I would like for you guys to be getting the same amount of information. Correct? Other than that, folks, this is your guys' last opportunity to use the restrooms, unless you don't have to use that. I'm going to wait for us to use the restrooms for just a couple of quick minutes, and then we can get started on the trail.
I
That sound
don't
good?
want.
Ma'am, if you're putting that away, the black tote with the red handle is not the great one.
This one.
Is the success rate in bear viewing?
It really depends. That's the best answer I have for you. It really just depends on what the bears are doing,
चलो
weather
भाई चलो,
conditions, salmon conditions,
अभी वॉक कर
and then
करके
whether or not they're
जाएंगे
sleeping or not. You know,
अंदर
we are
जंगल
in about
के
4 acres
अंदर।
of private property. You might have noticed that when you're coming in, we don't have any gates or anything.
अग्नि बनस मैंने एक स्टोरी पढ़ी थी। जा रहे हैं अंदर, बेयर देखेंगे सामान खाता हुआ। इतना पैसे दे के टिकट काटे हैं तो देखना ही है। हाँ, देवुदा आगे आगे और मैं पीछे पीछे। देखिए स्नेक तो होगा जरूर, बड़े बड़े अनाकोंडा। देवाशीष क्या ये जंगल में अनाकोंडा है? Rainforest. Second largest rainforest.
The largest temperate rainforest in the world. The Tongass National Rainforest is about 16.7 million acres wide, so it's about the size of West Virginia, and it stretches 500 miles north to south. Other than that, folks, within the Tongass, we get twice the amount of rainfall per year that you need to define a rainforest. You need about 70 inches of rainfall per year to define a rainforest, and we get between 130 and 180. So that's about 15 feet of rainfall per year.
You say which is the second largest, which is the largest?
Amazon.
Oh my god. चलो bear का encounter करो.
Family at home, that's related to this within the Calathea family, as I mentioned before, western skunk cabbage. A couple of interesting things about western skunk cabbage, folks. First and foremost, it has a property called thermogenesis, which means that the young plant can actually heat up its internal body temperature to up to like 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and it breaks that first spring frost layer. So it's generally the first green plant that we see rolling around when spring arrives. It's a really good favorite snack of our black bears. If we're seeing any of these western skunk cabbages entirely uprooted or trampled, that's evidence of black bear activity. Black bears, especially as they're coming out of torpor, which is essentially their version of hibernation. Once they come out of that torpor, they're going to be munching on the leaves and munching on the roots of the western skunk cabbage because it's a good fiber source. Especially.
और मुझे ये रेन फॉरेस्ट इतना अच्छा लग रही थी, सब आगे आगे जा रहे थे और मैं छोटे छोटे चीज़ के पीछे ही भाग रही थी. बेरीज देखना, पत्ते, पेड़ पौधे, भूल ही गई थी कि कहीं भी ये जो जंगल के अंदर बेयर ना निकल जाए. मैं सुन रही थी लेकिन सचमुच मैं पागल थी. Lots of berries. चलिए सेकेंड लार्जेस्ट जंगल के अंदर अमेज़न के बाद यही है. ये बेरी सब खाते हैं. ब्यूटीफुल.
Here's a Sitka spruce. That's Sitka. I'm not sure if you guys are coming down or up on your cruise right now, but I think maybe you might have visited Sitka. Yeah. Perfect. So, same idea, 70 miles north of here. Used to be the state capital of Alaska before they moved it to Juneau in 1963. Other than that, folks, I've been trying to identify the Sitka spruce against the western hemlock. I can also look at the bark patterns. And I see that the bark of the western hemlock kind of makes these almost rounds, so like these kind of circles, right? Almost like fish scales, right? So if I'm thinking, you can see that many of these branches don't actually end in needles, so they're completely non-productive for the tree. It's actually kind of a waste of energy to kind of keep them around because you try to grow that and it's not getting you anywhere. So after you snap off those bottom branches with all that rainwater on the mosses, it makes it easier for the tree to manage its own energy and then develop the canopy, which is where it's going to be getting all that sunlight. So today are either dead or less than 20 years old. Other than that, folks, off topic, but do you guys see that kind of bump on the side of the western red cedar? Does anybody know what that might be?
No.
Yep, I heard it. I heard the answer. This is called a burl. So, B-U-R-L. This is a physiological response that the tree has to any sort of fungal infection, parasitic infection, or even just a deformed branch node. It pushes that infection out of the side and then develops all these irregular layers of tree fiber all over it to kind of keep that infection insistent and keep it from spreading to the rest of the tree. Unfortunately, this western red cedar is dead. The burl didn't save it. But for what it's worth, about 80% of burls are formed from fungal infections. So they tend to have all these. Making this observation, you can see that there's the old western red cedar nerve slug on the inside right over there, with the western hemlock that grew on top of it, just setting its roots past. If that makes any sense, that's how you're getting those kind of spider webs. And then, if you guys want to come up real quick right over here, I have one thing to introduce to you guys. So I'm sure that you guys are able to observe this western hemlock right over here. This tree up is one western hemlock, probably 150 to 200 year changes they undergo through. They kind of turn a grayish green coloration with a map-like pattern of white on their bellies. I just saw my first pink stem of the season today, which I'm very excited about because they are my favorite species. Not because they're better eating, they're not, and not because they're better sport fish, they're not.
ढेर सारा ब्लूबेरी मिला. ढेर सारा. चारों तरफ ब्लूबेरी.
Is that like a full hibernation, for example? So folks, the bark is very, very soft on the touch because
It's soft.
it's called Thujaplace. Thujaplace.
Really?
Nice tree. And there's a tree spelling me, everybody.
Okay, that's what I.
How often do you see bears?
It depends.
Okay.
Earlier, I did have a bear tour, and I found a one of my, I would say like probably a 2 or 3 year old male black bear caught a king salmon at the end of a fish ladder right over there, brought it right over here. But that being said, he's gone.
They are also watching Devasis. Oh, yes. Salmon.
So guys, as I mentioned before, we're now in an estuary. This is a very specific ecosystem where freshwater and saltwater meet. So I have freshwater coming down right over here from Whitman Lake, with the kind of glacial runoff lake of the mountains right over there. This is called brackish water. This is a mixture of fresh and salty water. And then I do have saltwater coming in right over here from the bay, which is called Herring Cove. So this guy right over here, the stream that you see right behind me, is going to be a salmon spawning stream. Brackish water is a mixture of fresh and
मुझे तो एक भी सामान नहीं दिखाई दे रहा, इतना छोटे छोटे। मैं तो एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा था 100 ये 1-2 क्या आ रहा है। बहुत होना चाहिए, बहुत। हाँ